Hello, and welcome to episode 50 of A Week in Watches, a weekly look back at notable stories and releases from the world of watches. I'm your host, Ollech Wajs, co-founder of Worn & Wound. Thanks for joining me. There's no real theme to this week's stories so much as they are all watches and they're all new in some way, shape, or form, but hey, that's all right by me. Before we start, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. It helps us get seen by more people and thus spread the word of watches even more. This week's sponsor is Whatnot, a live stream auction app where you can buy and sell unique items as well as connect with other collectors in real time. Stay tuned to later in the show to find out more as well as where to find Wind Up Watch Shop on Whatnot. Now, on with the show. Ollech Wajs get brutal. We've talked about Ollech Wajs a few times on A Week in Watches before, but a quick reminder, they are a Zurich-based brand that was revived within the last 5 years or so, but was originally founded in 1956. They are known for their sports watch models, including a 1,000-meter dive watch that dates all the way back to the 1960s. Since being brought back, rather than taking the typical route of simply recreating historic timepieces, they have been creating modern designs with their own unique flavor that draw on their archives. So not one-to-one recreations, but old models like that 1,000-meter diver have been spiritually revived. This is actually the harder way to revive a brand, and so far they have been quite successful at it. This week, Ollech Wajs released a new watch in that same vein, the OW 8001, which is also their first integrated bracelet sports watch. Well, first new integrated bracelet sports watch, as the 8001 draws from a model from 1973, making this a 50th anniversary model. Interestingly, Ollech Wajs were very early in adopting this design concept, as integrated bracelet sports watches were only first introduced in 1972. While the original model was a chronograph, for the 8001, Ollech Wajs updated the design to be a fairly simple three-hand dial designed with lume markers, a date at 6, which is keeping with their other watches and lines. An appealing element here is the Havana Fume coloration of the dial surface, which has a soft brown tone that darkens slightly by the edge of the dial, and was an element that was pulled from that 1973 model. The story here is really in the case and bracelet design. A quick glance will reveal that the 8001 isn't like the other integrated bracelet watches out there that try to recreate the luxurious lines and finish of high-end unobtainium from AP and Patek. Rather, they went for something brutal and rugged. The 39.5 by 12.5 millimeter case is a slab-sided barrel with a flat top surface that is fully brushed, no bevels, no polish, save perhaps on the edge of the fixed bezel, another sporty element. The case connects directly to the bracelet, hence integrated, which has a simple 3-link design, fully brushed, that tapers towards the buckle, which is extendable up to 22 millimeters for added comfort. Nothing fancy, no tricks up its sleeve, but it does have a water resistance of 300 meters. At first glance, I thought it was perhaps too brutal and simple, but as I've kept looking at it, its sheer lack of fussiness has grown on me. It looks tough and like it can take a beating. Many other integrated bracelet sports watches look like they should be babied and perhaps worn with suits. They are more about luxury than sports. The 8001 is the other way around, but also sized for everyday wear. The 8001 also features a chronometer certified Soprod P092 automatic inside, making it the first chronometer in their modern catalog. With a price tag around $2,000, the 8001 is a nice addition to Ollech Wajs catalog. Learn more at ow-watch.com. Bremont is really into ejection seats. Bremont, the only aviation-focused watch brand that seems more concerned with what happens when you get shot out of a plane than flying one, has teamed up with Martin Baker once again to push their tech to a new level. Bremont has worked with ejection seat manufacturer Martin Baker in the past to design watches that could be pushed to the extreme. The original MB2, perhaps the most iconic Bremont, was born of these tests and featured a shock absorption system, patented I believe, designed to withstand the violence of ejection as well as other design elements. Now Bremont has returned to the lab, so to speak, and emerged with the MB Viper. Originally conceived as just a testing instrument meant to put Bremont's in-house ENG 300 calibers through their paces, the Viper features a design language that is entirely different from the brand, which has stuck to variations on their triptych case design for over a decade. Made to be attached to a Martin Baker live ejection simulator cockpit dash, the test units were put through live ejection testing, zoom temperature, climb testing, extreme temperature endurance, high altitude testing, salt fog testing, and more. From there, carbon fiber lugs were added to the test unit to allow for it to be attached to mannequins, also used in ejection tests. Poor mannequins. After passing the test with flying colors, they decided to turn the test watch into a run of 300 watches that stand out from the Bremont collection. Featuring minimalist white dials with simple minute-seconds indexes, they look like the test instruments they claim to be, which is highlighted by a -4 over +6 index flanking the 60-second marker. From a hacked start, this would presumably allow for a quick analysis of deviation of the movement, with those markings highlighting chronometer standards. Bold, striped hands add legibility in what is likely extreme circumstances. The 43.5mm case is the largest visual departure for Bremont, however, with a far more rectangular design than they typically go for, featuring a black DLC Grade 5 titanium mid-case. The orange anodized bezel gives it the look of a cockpit instrument and highlights the shape of the original test instrument, which was actually mounted rather than worn. Within their anti-shock movement mount is the Bremont ENG 352 caliber with silicone escapement, which is largely made in England. The Bremont MB Viper is limited to 300 units and priced at $5,995. So what do you think? Would you wear a watch built to withstand being ejected from a fighter jet? Let us know below. And now a bit more about this week's sponsor. Join us for the Wind Up Watch Shop's next live streaming session on Whatnot. Ricardo Cime, our shop manager, will be hosting and will showcase some exciting deals, giveaways, and some very unique auctions. For those of you who aren't yet familiar with Whatnot, it's a community marketplace where you can discover some of your favorite products like collectible cards, sneakers, and of course watches. Our next Whatnot live stream will be on Tuesday, May 23rd at 5 p.m. Eastern. The Wind Up Watch Shop is prepping some special buy it now bundles, live auctions, as well as some excellent giveaways. You definitely don't want to miss it. Once again, that Whatnot live stream will be on Tuesday, May 23rd at 5 p.m. Eastern. Use our invite link in the description to sign up for Whatnot and download the app for a free $15 credit towards your first purchase. Bookmark the upcoming stream so you don't miss out on any of the action. Aera adds color to their catalog. Aera Instruments is a relatively young brand from the UK that has zigged where others have zagged. Rather than launching with vintage-inspired mid-century sports watches that are under 38mm, they went brazenly modern. Shocking, appalling, refreshing? Aera launched with two core models, the D1 and P1 for diver and pilot respectively. Both feature 904L steel cases, which is uncommon and appealing, with the diver coming in at 44mm to the edge of the bezel and the pilot at 43mm. Both with 49.8mm lug-to-lug, putting them on the medium to large side of things. With that said, they have fairly rounded mid-case shapes with large domed crystals and generously curved lugs, making them wear well and feel smaller. While the dial designs between the two models differ as per their intended function, a clean, bold, and yet minimal aesthetic ties them together visually and gives them a distinctive look and feel. Initially, both models were only available in black, which is where this week's announcement comes in with the D1 Ocean Diver and P1 Moon Pilot. The Ocean Diver takes their diver watch and renders it in a pleasing medium blue, dial, ceramic bezel, and all. The Moon Pilot features a medium gray dial, which looks quite striking given its bowl shape and wide dial opening. I might have a personal bias towards this color, as it is very similar to what we used on our Stova Veros collab from 2019. Anyway, in addition to the new colors, both models now feature Globolite molded lume, which should provide greater legibility in the dark. Powered by Elaborate grade Sellita SW200 movements, the Aera D1 Ocean Diver comes in at $1,600, while the P1 Moon Pilot is priced at $1,500, both with two straps. So how do you feel about these? Is it time to embrace some modern designs again? Are larger sizes poised for a comeback? What do you think? Omega gives the world a makeover. The Omega Aquaterra Worldtimer is one of the sleeper hits in Omega's expansive catalog. Sure, it's fairly well known and has a cult following, but it gets a lot less fanfare than the Speedy, for example, or even basic Seamaster divers. Like the Constellation Globemaster annual calendar, it just hangs out, knowing it's a bit special. Worldtimers trended a few years ago, but have since cooled, making them fairly uncommon finds. Of course, they are like GMTs, taken to the next level, able to show at a glance the time in 24 time zones referenced by major cities, thus the whole world. The Globemasters use a rotating 24-hour disc at center, which when calibrated can be read via the cities around the edge of the dial. Local time is then read at the center of the dial. These watches also feature jumping local hour hands for quick adjustment when traveling. All in all, a pretty useful watch. Anyway, this week, Omega announced 3 new references, though really 2 variations and a strap option, to the Aquaterra Globemaster collection. Sadly, still all at 43mm, the first of the new models is a Vision in steel and green. For this new version, the bezel has been made of green ceramic, the color of which then flows through the green and gold dial for a lot of gorgeous green. Hands and indices are then made of 18-karat gold moonshine as well. I'm still a fan of green dials and also green cases, though they are rare, so I'm pretty into the looks of this. Next up is the obvious winner of the new releases, however, in that it's made of titanium. This version has a black ceramic bezel and features a dial in rings of black and gray for a more subdued style than the previous version. Weighing approximately 94 grams, it's about 20% lighter than the steel version on a strap as well. All versions feature the caliber 8938 automatic Worldtimer inside, which, in addition to the complication, is a certified master chronometer with a coaxial escapement and a silicone hairspring. The green and steel version is available on a green rubber strap with a sort of braided texture for $10,200 or on a bracelet for $10,400. It's worth noting that this version is a full $1,000 more than the previous steel models without ceramic bezels or moonshine gold hands. The titanium version is only available on rubber, but it comes with titanium hardware and comes in at $11,800, which is even more for some reason. How do you feel about this one? Great looks? Too much? Is it time for more Worldtimers again now that GMTs have become so prevalent? I think so. And that's that for this episode of A Week in Watches. Thanks again for joining me, and do hit that like button if you haven't yet. Please visit worldtimers.com daily for more watch news, reviews, and stories, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.